Good morning, dear children. Today we are going to study inflorescence and flowers. Inflorescence, it is a collection of flowers on an axis. There are two different types of inflorescences, namely racemose inflorescence and cymose inflorescence. And in the case of racemose inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow indefinitely, producing lateral flowers. Here the flowers are arranged in an acropetal succession. That is, younger flowers are seen towards the apex and older flowers towards the base. This type of arrangement is called acropetal succession. This type of inflorescence can be seen in Crotalaria. And the second type of inflorescence is cymose inflorescence or cyme. Here here the main axis terminates in a flower and two lateral buds which also ends in flowers but which open later. And here it is called a definitive type of inflorescence. The cymose type of inflorescence is called a definitive type of inflorescence, and this racemose type, indefinite type of inflorescence. Next we can see flowers. Flowers, it is a modified shoot, and also it is the sexual reproductive organ in angiosperms. And here we can see a typical flower has got four different parts, namely calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Here it is the calyx, which is formed of sepals. Here this corolla formed of petals. Then androecium formed of stamens, and gynoecium formed of carpels. Thus we can see calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium are the four different words of a typical flower. And here the first two words, that is calyx and corolla, are called the non-essential words because it has no role in reproduction. And the third and fourth, that is androecium and gynoecium, are called the essential words because they are the reproductive organs. Androecium is the male reproductive organ and gynoecium the female reproductive organ. Now we can see in the case of flowers, in some monocots like that of lily, coconut, etc., we can see the calyx and corolla are undifferentiated. Such an undifferentiated calyx and corolla is known by the name perianth, and they are formed of individual structures known by the name tepals. And here again the flowers may be either unisexual or bisexual. And in the case of unisexual flowers, only one sex organ, either androecium or gynoecium alone is present. And when coming to bisexual flower, both androecium and gynoecium are present in one and the same flower. And in the case of these unisexual flowers, when androecium alone is present, it is called staminate flower. And when gynoecium alone is present, it is called pistillate flower. Staminate flower and pistillate flower. This much about this flower. Next we have to study the classification of flower based on the floral symmetry. Based on the symmetry of flower, it can be classified into actinomorphic, zygomorphic and asymmetrical. In the case of actinomorphic flower, it can be cut into two equal halves through any radial plane, as in hibiscus. And this is very similar to that of radial symmetry in organisms. Here it can be cut into two equal halves through any radial plane, as in hibiscus. When coming to zygomorphic flower, which is similar to that of bilateral symmetry in organisms. Here, the flower can be cut into two equal halves through only one vertical plane, that is into left half and right half, as in the case of pea, gulmohar, clitoria, etc. When coming to asymmetrical flower, we can see this flower could not be cut into two equal halves through any plane, as in canna. The first one can be cut into two equal halves through any radial plane. The second one can be cut into two equal halves through only one vertical plane into left and right half. And when coming to asymmetrical flower, it could not be cut into two equal halves through any plane, as in canna. Next, we can see, in the case of flowers, they may be either trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous. When we see the flower is having each word arranged in numbers of 3, it is not by name trimerous flower. And these trimerous flowers are seen only in monocot plants like lily, palmy, etc. That is coconut, etc. And here the words are arranged in members of 3, that is calyx formed of 3 sepals, corolla formed of 3 petals, androecium formed of 3 or multiples of 3 stamens, and this gynoecium formed of 3 or multiples of 3. And this type of arrangement is called trimerous condition, that is words of 3. When the floral leaves are arranged in each word having 4 or multiples of 4, it is called tetramerous condition. That is, calyx consists of 4 sepals, and again corolla consists of 4 petals, androecium formed of 4 or multiples of 4, and here gynoecium also formed of 2 or 4 and multiples of 4. When in the case of pentamerous flower, the floral leaves are arranged in multiples of 5, as in the case of hibiscus. And thus we can see the flowers may be trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous. In the case of trimerous flower, we can see the words are arranged in members of 3, tetramerous. The words are arranged in members of or multiples of 4, and pentamerous, the words are arranged in multiples of 5. And again, the flowers may contain number of bracts, that is small flap-like structures at the base of the petiole, and that if bract is present at the base of the petiole, we can see that such a flower is said to be bracteate flower. And if bracts are absent, it is called abracteate. The next thing that we are going to study is classification of flower based on the position of the ovary. Based on the position of the ovary, flowers may be either hypogynous, perigynous or epigynous. In the case of hypogynous flower, you can see ovary is in the supermost position or the highest position, and all other floral leaves like androecium and then again corolla and calyx etc. are seen below the level of ovary. Such a flower is said to be hypogynous flower. Here the ovary is said to be superior and the flower is said to be superior. And here ovary is in the uppermost position and all other floral leaves are seen rising below the level of ovary. And this type of flowers can be seen in hibiscus etc. And then the second one is perigynous. Here the ovary is seen arising from the center of a thalamus cup. And in the front of the center of the cup, we can see the ovary is arising. And all other floral leaves are seen arranged at the rim of the thalamus cup. This type of a flower is said to be perigynous, or it is said to be half inferior or half superior. And this type of flowers can be seen in the case of pea, clitoria, etc. And when coming to this epigamous flower, we can see ovary is in the lowermost position and the thalamus fuses with the ovary, and all the floral leaves are seen arising above the level of ovary, and ovary is in the lowermost position. So this type of flower is said to be, the ovary is said to be inferior. Here the three different types of flowers based on the position of the ovary are hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. In the case of hypogynous, we can see ovary is in the uppermost position and the flower is said to be superior. And then in the case of perigynous, ovary is arising from the center of the thalamus cup, and all the floral leaves are arranged on the rim of the thalamus cup. And here the flower is half inferior or half superior. And when coming to epigynous flower, ovary is in the lowermost position and it is fused with the ovary is fused with the thalamus cup, and here we can see all other floral leaves are seen arising the level of above the level of ovary, and such a flower is said to be inferior. The ovary is said to be inferior and the flower is said to be epigynous. And we can see in guava and then again coffee, flower, etc. This type of flowers are seen. And certain other terms are related with the parts of flowers that are, we have already studied that a typical flower has got four different parts: calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. And related with these terms, we can see certain technical terms are there named gamosepalous, polysepalous, gamopetalous, polysepalous, etc. And here in the case of this calyx, we know that it is formed of sepals. Sometimes the sepals are united into a cup-like structure which is known by the name gamosepalous. When the sepals are united into a cup-like structure, it is called gamosepalous. When the sepals are free, it is called polysepalous. And when again coming to this corolla also, we can see it is formed of petals. Here also the petals may be united or free. When the petals are united, it is called gamopetalous. United petals, gamopetalous. And when the petals are free, as in the case of hibiscus, etc., it is called polypetalous. When petals united, gamopetalous. When petals free, polypetalous. And when coming to androecium, we can see it is formed of stamens, and here also we can see this shows different kinds of union. In some cases we can see all the stamens are united to form a single bundle. In such a case it is called monadelphous condition. Monadelphous. When all the stamens are united to form a single bundle, as in the case of hibiscus, it is called monadelphous condition. In P. clitoria, etc., we can see the stamens are united to form two bundles, that is 9+1 condition. In certain plants we can see 5+5 condition, and such a condition is known by the name diadelphous, having two bundles of stamens. And in certain others we can see more than two bundles are seen. The stamens are united to form more than two bundles, as in the case of citrus. Then it is called the polyadelphous condition. That is monadelphous, diadelphous, polyadelphous. In monadelphous, all the stamens are united to form one bundle. Here in the case of diadelphous, stamens are united with two bundles, and in polyadelphous, they are united to form more than two bundles. Then polyadelphous. Then again, in coming to gynoecium, it is formed of carpels. Carpels may be united or free. When the carpels are free, as in the case of Annona, Polyalathea, etc., we can see it is known by name apocarpus. When carpels free, apocarpus. It is seen in Annona, Polyalathea, etc. And again, when the carpels are united, it is called syncarpous condition. Syncarpous condition. And here different types of new terms related with the flower parts, and then again two more terms are there, staminode and pistillode. And here we can see in certain flowers the stamens are reduced and it is sterile, and that sterile stamens are known by the staminode. Sterile stamens are known by the staminode, and that of pistil, when it is sterile, it is called pistillode. Staminode and pistillode. Sterile stamen staminode and sterile pistil, it is called pistillode. This much about the parts of flower and the terms associated with the flowers. Today we can stop here.